Good morning. Happy Saturday. So today I'm going to talk about comparison and how it can keep you stuck. For a really long time, I let comparison keep me stuck. I shared a little in my post on Instagram and Facebook yesterday that I never graduated high school. I actually got my GED instead. I went to college for just a year and ended up leaving after that. And I thought that this meant I was somehow less than others around me, that not having a degree and really not even having a college diploma meant I couldn't go after the jobs of my dreams or even run my own business as I truly wanted to do. But I was so busy looking at everyone else around me that I didn't notice the places God was guiding me from growth to growth in my own life. Here's a brief overview of my history. So I started as a temp at an oil company. Eventually, I was hired to a permanent position that would last 10 years. And when I started that, I really had a lot of growing up to do. My position at that company was instrumental in helping me start that process. But I also stayed there far longer than was healthy, working in conditions that weren't optimal because I felt like I wasn't worthy of anything better. I also worked a retail job a lot of that time, and eventually I had the opportunity to apply for a retail management position at a different chain, and I ended up working as a part-time manager for several years, in addition to my full-time job. During this time, God was slowly but progressively drawing me closer to Him. I had grown up in a Lutheran church, so I had a great foundation of Bible stories from Sunday school and things like that, but I didn't have a whole lot of experience with Jesus in a loving, intimate relationship. So starting in my early 20s, I joined Bible studies, was on the worship team eventually at two different churches, and then even in my 30s started volunteering with the youth group. I learned more about God, both through surrounding myself with a community of believers and then through teaching. Trust me, when you learn something in order to teach it, you learn it at a much deeper level. And that led me actually to taking over leading the youth group after the associate pastor moved away, and I led them for 3 years. My jobs changed again over this time. I left the retail position after getting a promotion at the oil company, but I eventually decided to leave there because I just really wasn't happy in the conditions I was working in. I briefly worked for a little computer company, and I was the assistant to the CEO, but I learned quickly that the environment there wasn't one that I wanted to stay in either. However, this brief experience allowed me to update my resume in a way that got me an interview for the executive assistant position that I'm working today. And this led to another new job, a large increase in pay, and a lot of new skills and learning. Why do I share all of this? Because so many times I was comparing myself to others along the way and let it hold me back. I already shared that I stayed in a situation that wasn't the best because I felt like I wasn't worthy of anything better. I actually hesitated in applying for the retail manager position. I didn't think I had enough experience. But they actually offered me a full-time position, and when they couldn't really pay me enough to replace my income from the other job, I was shocked when they still wanted to hire me part-time. I looked at the job description and the qualifications for the executive assistant position and immediately thought I wasn't qualified. But thanks to some encouragement from my aunt, I applied anyway. Not only did they end up offering me that position, they offered me a much higher salary than I had previously experienced. Another time that I let comparison cause me to hesitate is when I started a volunteer with the youth group. I told them that I didn't want to teach. I wanted nothing to do with teaching. I didn't know enough about the Bible, and they were totally okay with that. They were like, that's fine, just kind of come in and come alongside these kids, learn about them. And that really was my passion. But 3 weeks later, the situation changed when another volunteer who was teaching needed to step back a bit due to some changes in her life. And God basically pushed me to volunteer to teach in order to take some things off of this other person's plate. And this is literally 3 weeks after I told them, no, I want nothing to do with teaching. But I did it. And I did it pretty well, in fact. My point is this. I wasted a lot of time and a whole lot of emotional energy telling myself all the reasons why I wasn't as good as others I could see. But all along, God was moving and sometimes dragging me kicking and screaming to show me that I really had everything I needed inside of me. So Galatians 6:4 says that each person should test their own work and be happy with doing a good job and not compare themselves with others. What if we just focus on all the ways we have done our own work? What if we see all the ways to be happy that we have done a good job? What if this leads us to stop comparing ourselves to others and instead celebrate the unique skills of people who come alongside us? What if we start allowing ourselves to celebrate our own skills and unique abilities and let Christ shine his light out of us as he intended? Here are some of the things that I realized that I have learned on my journey. I learned discipline while at the oil company, plus a lot about what I enjoy doing and what I didn't. I also was in several situations that I had to speak in front of groups of people, and God has continued to nudge me into these situations where I needed to speak in front of large groups over the years. I learned leadership skills, both in my time in management of a retail store and in my time leading the youth group. Of course, there is always more to learn and always more room for growth, but the lessons I learned through these times were invaluable. I learned about perseverance and that I was able to do difficult things. There were several years where I worked a 40-plus hour week at one job and also worked 20 hours at another job. This required me to develop some time management skills so that I could take care of myself while maintaining that schedule. I also attempted a few different side hustles over the years. I learned a lot about myself through these experiences, like when I felt that I was adding value to people's lives and when I didn't. Plus, I learned that I wasn't afraid to try new things, even if they didn't work out long term. I used to think these were failures, but now I see how each was a step forward into knowing myself and my strengths better. I learned many more things that I'm not going to list, but I wonder, if you look back at the things that you've done, maybe even things that you've tried and didn't work out, can you see ways that you've grown through them? As the verse from Galatians said, can you test your own work and be happy with the way you've grown and learned more from each situation? You don't have to compare yourself to others and feel like you're failing because you aren't in the same place in life. If you look back at every place you have been, can you see how they've been steps of growth along the way? You are worthy of living a life you love. You are worthy of letting God's light shine through you to bless the world. Today, I ask you to look back and see how much you've grown and learned along the way and celebrate it. You have everything you need to take the next step towards living a life doing things you love. I am working on something new to really serve the people who've walked a road similar to mine. Women who, perhaps didn't go to college and thought this limited their opportunities to live a life they love. Right now, I'm doing some market research to make sure that what I'm developing is going to serve these people in the best way possible. I've developed an anonymous survey with a few questions that will really help me. I'm going to drop the link in the comments below this video on Facebook. So if you are a person who relates to my story in some way, I would love if you would help me out by taking just a few minutes to answer these questions. The other thing, I really want to encourage you to come back next week because I'm going to talk about the ways that when we stop focusing on ourselves and encourage other people, that it can actually really help us, step into the life that we love all along. So I hope you come back next week, and God bless and have a great week. Bye for now.